Greetings, students. Welcome to the fifth module on technology and society. So, this module deals with new medical technologies and particularly looking at technology and reproductive aspect of health. So, in the first lecture on this module, I'm going to talk about some of the medical technologies in general from a social science perspective. And in the second part of this module, I will particularly look at the reproductive technology dynamics of this module. So before we go on to talking about what medical technologies are and what they mean for society, let me first introduce you or familiarize you with some of the terrains on how health is understood in social sciences. So, if we go by the World Health Organization's definition of health, they define health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, what appears from the WHO's definition of health is that health is not just understood as a biomedical condition of the body, but there is also a very active social, psychological part of health. So, if we go by the biomedical model of health, the biomedical model of an understanding of the body, understanding of health, is posited on an understanding of how disease is understood. So the biomedical model talks about disease as an organic condition. Non-organic factors associated with the human mind are considered unimportant or are ignored, and only pathological conditions are considered when it comes to disease on the biomedical model. In that respect, disease is seen as a temporary organic state that can be eradicated. And this eradication can take place through curing, through medical intervention. And disease, as the biomedical model suggests, is experienced by sick people, people who are unwell, and who become the object of treatment. So it's essentially a very objectified lens of looking at the body. The next idea that the biomedical model suggests is that disease is treated after the symptoms appear. So it is sort of an application of medicine as a reactive healing process. And finally, disease is treated in a medical environment, such as a surgery or a hospital, away from the site where the symptoms first appeared. So, as you can see, the biomedical understanding of the body, the biomedical understanding of health is constituted around an understanding of the condition of the body through the lens of understanding what disease is. As a result, the biomedical model looks at three aspects of the body: the mind-body dualism, that your body is essentially separate from your mind, and your body is objectified in that process. The body is repairable like a machine. So if you have a disease, or if your body is not in quote unquote healthy condition, then it's repairable just as we repair a machine. And the third aspect that the biomedical model looks at is the reductionist approach, which focus on disease only and ignores the socio-psychological factors. And so what emerges from this understanding of a biomedical understanding of the body is also, a call for an understanding of the idea of embodiment, or how people interpret their bodily experiences and concerns and regulations of the body. And this is important here to understand because when we talk of technology and technological interventions into the body, it is important for us to understand what lens are we bringing in to understanding health and the body. So, along with the biomedical model, we also have the sociological, the social science understanding of health. So the sociological model brings in a lens that is slightly different from the biomedical model and looks at health. As in a very holistic sense, so looks at health in terms of healthy living, looks at promotion of health across a variety of scales, for example, from the individual, from the local to the regional to global, international levels. Um, it also looks at the context of public health and policies around public health. What constitutes public health? What are some of the policies that would be helpful for the sustenance of good public health? Aspects of lifestyle, consumption, risk in terms of health management. So, what the sociological understanding of health brings in is an understanding of the social institutions and the roles they play in understanding what health is. So, in that sense, the sociological understanding brings in the concept of family, the concept of education, the concept of religion, the concept of economic standing, the concept of age, and so on and so forth, to get a more holistic understanding of what health is. So, as you see on the screen here, that there has been a shift from the biomedical model of health to a more holistic understanding of health. So, what the biomedical model suggested henceforth was the assessment and the patient classification, problem resolved or treatment plan adjusted, treatment plan or reassessment progress, and so on and so forth. So, the medical model, to reiterate, is just bringing in a very objectified understanding of the body, which sort of changes when we use a different lens, a different approach to understand health and the body. So, in the center of the screen, you see this circular diagram that understands health also in the context of its wellness. And this travels, a social, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical arena of health and the body, and brings in, a complete, a more holistic understanding of how health is understood. And to the right side of the screen, you see that there has been some of these contemporary transformations in the understanding of health and medicine. So, what used to be understood as disease, one of the understandings that the biomedical model rests on, has evolved into an understanding of what health means, what it entailed to understand the hospital or surgery in the context of disease has evolved into an understanding of community or public health. What used to be understood, curing after a disease or symptoms would occur, has evolved into understanding of prevention of any symptoms or prevention of any ailment or disease for the body. So you see that what used to be a model that was centered around an understanding of the patient, quote unquote, has evolved into an understanding of the person, and this entails a holistic journey, which I just explained. So, What then entails is when we bring in an understanding of technological intervention to understanding health, to understanding medical conditions of the body, um, there is also a layer to understand how health is understood in a given social context. So, health is understood in a variety of ways in a given social context and acts as an indicator for a variety of purposes. For example, people judge their health in relation to others, whether somebody is, well or not well, is a relative concept and it is judged in relation to others. People equate health with morality. So, what constitutes healthy living is also, constituting an idea of morality. The cultural standards of health change over time. So, what again it constitutes to be healthy has evolved as an expression, has evolved as a process, as an understanding, and what constitutes the cultural standards of healthy living change over time. Health and living standards are interrelated, and health relates to social inequality. And the reason I'm walking you through these aspects of health in a given social context is because each of these parameters has a very acute, a very strong relationship with the understanding of technological interventions in terms of health and the body. So, another aspect of understanding health using the social science concept is to understand whose health are we talking about. That are we talking about a change in the locus of care and burden in terms of health? Are we talking about a change of domain in terms of health from conventional medicine or the clinic to something else? Are we talking about, genetics, informatics, imaging, integrative technologies, such as nanotechnologies that are redefining our understanding of the body, the redefining our understanding of health and disease? So, whose health are we talking about? And in this context, it is helpful to bring in a lens, a social science framework of intersectionality studies to understand that health, being a human experience, is not operating in vacuum. It is operating along and across a variety of axes of differences, and oftentimes these differences or axes of differentiations constitute ideas of gender, ideas of nationality, ideas of social class, ideas of religion, so on and so forth. So it is important for us to bring in, a framework of understanding of whose health are we talking about. Only then can we understand these contemporary transformations in health and medicine, that, why it has evolved from an understanding of disease and the hospital to health and community, why it has evolved from the idea of treating the patient or treating the body to an idea of caring for a person, why it has sort of evolved from an idea of intervention and cure to monitoring and prevention. Because this is important to understand why tech or how technology walks in, intervenes, and helps us in the process of understanding an evolution of health and healthcare in society. So, having said that, let me now get into more specifically into the understanding of digital technologies and healthcare. So, In the last decade or so, we have seen the emergence of mobile digital devices such as smartphones, tablet computers, wearable devices, social media platforms that talk about health and well being, and also the collection of massive data sets and the surveillance of people's movements in public space using the digital. So, what we have seen is a journey from understanding the body in its strict biomedical condition sense to an understanding of health of people on a different platform, on a different trajectory, and with the aid of the digital intervention. So what happened en route is that our social relations, the way we produce knowledge, the way we disseminate knowledge, the way we share knowledge, commercial enterprises, government agencies, they all have become digitized. And these developments in digitizing the self, these developments in digitizing social relations have had major impacts on healthcare systems, on public health, on personal healthcare, the ways we understand managing our health, and so on and so forth. So, digital health, quote unquote, as a term, has become frequently adopted to encompass a wide range of technologies related to health and medicine. So, when we talk of digital health, from an academic perspective, from a social science perspective, digital health can be seen posited at the intersection of primarily four broad areas of inquiry. So, one broad area of inquiry comes from an understanding of sociology of health, which I have tried to give you a very bird's eye view of. The second area that the idea of digital health intersects with is the idea of the sociology of algorithms. So when we use a digital platform, when we use a digital device, there is an algorithm that's functioning at the background of that. So what is that algorithm doing to an understanding of the body or to an understanding of health is calling in for deeper inquiry to understand how it is impacting the knowledge production around the body and health systems. So sociology of algorithms is the next broad area that intersects with digital health. Critical digital sociology, another very broad area that intersects with the idea of digital health. And of course, computational social science as an emerging field brings in a more computational understanding of health and well being in this context. So, what has happened? Over the last few years is that the phenomena of digital health has emerged as a key dimension of contemporary healthcare policy and delivery in many countries, including India. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has launched digital initiatives in the form of the National Health Portal, a screenshot of which you can see on the screen. And they have provided with, some key platforms, digital platforms where people can have, sign up, have their profiles. They can exchange their views on health, on the bodily conditions. And they can also monitor the status of their health. So there are many such apps, applications, and digital platforms that are aided by government initiatives. They're aided by private initiatives that look at, not just how bodies are perceived, not just how health is sort of understood as an evolving context, but also ideas of digital embodiment, that how your body is digitally aided and enhanced in a digital environment. So here on the screen, you see a whole typology of digital health technologies, starting from telemedicine to telehealth to medical education to digital diagnostics, genomics, digital devices, digital health promotion, blogs, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, this table demonstrates that there are many technologies that come under the rubric of digital health, and these rubric of digital health can traverse various scales, various levels, starting from the personal, starting from the individual, to a more public, to a more global, to a more international sort of scale. So what we also need to look at here is an understanding of how the idea of digital healthcare has evolved over the years. So, what we were, or where we were in the early 2000s, were in an age of learning. That what is it and why should we care? And this is in the context of digital healthcare, which we have evolved into an age of interest. Around 2010, that how can we seed innovation, how can we move upward and onward, and how can we seed innovation in this context. And then currently, most recently, we have been through the age of implementation, that how can we do digital health well? And we have seen governments and private organizations have engaged in initiatives on digital healthcare through a variety of platforms and practices. And then what we are getting towards is an age of scale. How can we maximize our impact? So this is where we are now today, to look at digital healthcare. But then what lies at the backdrop, what lies at the very foundation of this understanding, is to acknowledge the socio-cultural implications that each of these practices have on the human body, on an understanding of health, on an understanding of society. So I would like to conclude this topic with this sociological critique of digital health, where what you see on one hand is investigating digital conditions through technological artifacts, health practices, and embedding environments, and on the other hand, you are looking at rethinking digital methodologies, like how we are looking at a variety of theoretical concepts evolving and engaging in analytical methods, and through a variety of data sources. So this is an overview of what we understand by technological interventions into health, medicine, and society. And in my next lecture, I would go a little more explicitly to look at only one type or one area of health condition in terms of medical technologies, that is reproductive health care. Thank you very much.